So today I'm going to be talking about my transition from barista to full-time freelance. You know, could we have a spread out, like some of you guys come over here so that way, I prefer it that way. If we could have a little bit more.
Do you guys need creamer? Do you creamer?
Yeah, the only thing, we can't go in this blue, you gotta keep going to over here. Yeah. Oh, you're good.
Maybe I'll start coffee.
No. Cool. Alright, so this series is tentatively called Donut Discussions, and I don't know if I like that title. It's just, I asked my wife, I was like, what is a D word that communicates something? And she's like, discussions. So, alright, shout out to the wife for hooking it up. So I'll just tell you like my story from barista to freelance. And I'm coming at it from, like, I want to lay it out that the beginning, I'm just talking about what I know, and it's going to be very specific to me, but I think that there'll be some things that you can learn as far as, like, this is what he did, we can apply it here. I know that, I don't think any of us in here are actually doing like traditional fine art. You know, like we have a bunch of different things. We've got designers, photographers, people like doing creative business. Like, what are you? Photography. Okay, yeah. So like everyone's doing something a little bit different, but it's all like these skill sets aren't just fine art, and they actually are easier outside of fine art. Like fine art's not. Nobody does fine art, right? So barista. I graduated high school in 2009. I interned for a church for like 2 years. After that, then became a barista because I love talking to people. I love interacting with people, and I noticed immediately when I was a barista. This was 2010. The economy had like crashed in like 08, 09. All of my peers at the coffee shop, which are amazing by the way, they all had their bachelors and they were all like pretty much working on their masters. And I'm like, man, I got to get out of here as fast as I can because I just don't want to get sucked into like this barista trap. Like I felt like it was a dead end. It was good for paying the bills, but it wasn't something that I wanted to be forever. And a side note, like I'm not hooping on baristas. I have a special place in my heart for baristas. I love the coffee industry, the coffee world. For me though, that wasn't my future. There's definitely ways to make money, make good money, make enough money in coffee. So I want to, not hoop on my peers. All right, they're my homies. I in 2011 started doing a lot of fine art. So 2009 to 2010, I was studying theology at CBU. 2010 onward, I switched to art, and I was doing a lot of art outside of the classroom, and that's how you get good. You actually have to like do stuff outside the class. I would draw on my break at Coffee Bean. I actually worked just down the road at Coffee Bean, and I made it a point that every person who came in, I would get to know their name. That I figured if I knew their name, not only would I have more friends, but it would also make like the shift a lot easier. And what I didn't realize is that I was actually kind of building the first steps to like a business. I would start to get to know people's names. One of the guys that I met was this guy, Ronaldo. He actually owns a restaurant just down the road, the Salted Pig. He came in like every single day. I knew his order. I don't remember it, but I knew his order then and would always have it ready. When I'd see him in line, I'd be like, yo, what's up, Ronaldo? Like, let me get that going. And then he, it was just a good interaction. And it was about a year that I was working there before I had an opportunity. Like, there's certain instances when I see things, I'm like, this is going to be a chance for me to make money based on like a relationship. And it's not like a transactional thing. It's just, this guy owns a business. I can see myself doing something for him. So I was, like just being extra nice to him. And this is something you're going to see come up again and again with what I do. Ronaldo, I just built a relationship with him over the 3 months, 6 months, a year. I was going to San Francisco, and he had known that I was an artist and like was nice about talking to me about that. I was going to San Francisco for coffee to like learn more about coffee, and I told Ronaldo, hey, I'm going to San Francisco to paint a mural. He's like, oh, that's dope. Like, show me a photo when you get back. So I, documented it. The mural's trash. It's like two huge birds on a wire, and it sucks. I'm so glad it's not there anymore. It was like the worst thing I've ever done. But I showed Ronaldo, and he was really nice. Like he was like, oh, that's really cool. I think he thought it was cool that I was going to San Francisco to do something. Like there was a little bit of posturing in that, like, hey, I'm going to San Francisco, and it really was just like my friend from school owned a coffee shop, and I was doing it in the back. Like there's a hookah bar right next to it. It was super high. It was terrible, but like you have to scrap any way you can. Ronaldo saw that. Saw also on my Instagram that I had been posting the murals I was doing around Riverside in the sunken places, like the abandoned warehouses, the underpasses, like the things that you don't want to tell your mom where you're at midnight. And he thought it was cool, so he said, hey, come by the shop, the bar after your shift. Let's talk about doing a mural on the back of the Salted Pig. So I called my brother who owns a business, and I was like, yo, I don't know how to price myself, like I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know, like I've never charged anyone for a mural, like how do I do this? And he's like, I don't know what you gotta do, like just come up with a number and just throw it at him. I was like, is $1,000 too much? He's like, I don't know. So I went into the meeting, and Ronaldo's like, so how much do you normally charge for murals? I was like, $1,200, and then he's like, okay, that sounds good, and at that point I'm like, oh man, he bought it, like he bought it, he did it. So that was my first mural. It's actually on the back of the Salted Pig. When you guys are leaving, like take that right. I built the mural into the ivy that's like coming down, and so what happens is it literally hides. So if I was going to do it again, I would paint it way louder, but I was scared because we didn't have permits, and I could only paint it like on Friday nights after work. So I painted it to hide, but that like didn't help me marketing wise. So I would like be much louder about it now. But like you can see it, it's like this boar holding a light, he's holding a knife, and Salted Pig. That's what's up. So that was like my first like real paid gig from there. Graduated 2013, got married, had a job lined up at Lift Coffee Roasters, another local coffee shop. I was going to be the manager. The shop was supposed to open in June. I was getting married in June, so I quit the coffee bean to spend time with my wife. Like we were going to go on our honeymoon, and I just wanted to chill for like 3 weeks before starting the manager job. But the problem with any business is when they say they're going to open in June, what they really mean is they're going to open in September, and that's exactly what happened. So I didn't have a job for 3 to 4 months, and my wife was working at the church 10 hours a week. Like, I honestly am looking back, I don't know how God provided for us in that 5 months. We were making $80 a week, like $80 a week on that, like making it work. Like we had some savings from when I was a barista before, and like, we were just making it work, And so when Kels would go to work or like hang out with her friends, like I'm not just gonna sit around all day. I might as well paint. I might as well figure out how I can treat it like a work day. So that 3 months, what I would do is I treated each day like I was scheduled to work. As a barista, when you're scheduled to work, you show up on time. And they're paying you such little amount of money for you to really do this. Like, it's absurd to me how much that the minimum wage thing allows you to be prompt, like to be ready. It's just like it shifts your mind and you're able to do it. But it's like $10. I don't know if I could pay someone, hey, if you meet me here at 10 a.m., I'll give you $10. Like, a lot of people just wouldn't come. Like, but you have to stand here for an hour from 10 to 11, I'll give you $10. But like, because it's a job, because I have the apron on, like, you're gonna do it, right? Yeah. I'm like, what if I did this for art? And so I Like, all right, my day, this is arbitrary, my day started at 8 and it ends at 2. It was like a 6-hour shift, right? So I went into the garage and painted from 8 to 2. Painted a ton of really crappy paintings, posted them on Instagram. Some of them started to gain a little bit of traction, like very small traction. I want you guys to understand, like, this is very, very small. Like nothing's happening. My wife is still wondering, like, oh, is this a hobby? Is this something he does? Like, I'm not even sure at this point. Like, it's not a business at this point. I made $1,200 from the mural. That's how much money I had made in the art career. I just got a degree in it, but like I didn't make that much money from it. Some of the paintings started getting interest on Instagram, so people were reaching out like, hey, can I buy that from you? And so I said, sure. Like, this is $50, that's 40, that's 30, like whatever. Like very reasonable prices, and some of it started to move. So I was at that point that I was matching what Kels was making at the Grove, which was very, very small. Like if you ever have worked in a church, you realize like their budgets are very small. They have other things to do. So I was matching Kels, and then as I started to, as the deadline for the manager job came up, which was essentially a glorified barista, like I didn't do anything as a manager, I realized, like, oh man, I don't have as much time to paint. But I do have those 2 days off. So I was working 5 days a week, and then the 2 days off, I just treated like another barista work day. It was 8 hours in the garage painting, or 8 hours doing whatever. Nice trash guy going by. Just on those days off. Because the cool thing about being a barista is my work day was 8 hours, but it started at 4:30 and ends around 2:33 p.m. Most people don't have that. So for me, I had at least 5 hours until anyone could hang out, until my wife was back from work, so I might as well just be doing something. So during that time, I was teaching myself on my breaks at Lyft how to do Photoshop, how to design a logo. Like, I didn't take any design classes in college, because I famously said, I don't think I'll ever do design, so that's cool. But I had to learn those programs on that, and like while I was at the register, because that was like when the iPad like just came out, and so I was just like researching on the iPad while stamping cups, like nice, just totally learning on the fly. Quit that job as fast as I could. Was the manager there for like less than 100 days. Because I just realized it was during that point when I was sharing stuff on Instagram, and I was going to some like meetups, that I was getting more clients. Some people were asking me, hey, what would it look like? Or they would say, can you do a logo for me? And I had never done a logo before, and I was like, well, I don't really do logos. And they said, yeah, you do logos, and they would point to something like this. I'm like, oh, that's not a logo, but like, yeah, we do, yeah. I do logos, yeah. I can do logos. How much is a logo? And they say, how much do you charge me for a logo? And I remember I emailed back at one guy, and I was like, this is super embarrassing, but I don't know how much a logo is worth. Like, how much do you want to pay me? And he was like, I don't know how much your time is worth, but I'll give you $400. And I was like, all right, sweet. So, like, that's cool. Like, I was probably going to pitch him like 100. In side note, I would advocate strongly against that. Don't ask the person that communicates no mastery at all. Like, giving someone the keys, and then they turn it on and just ram it straight into the wall, and then they back out, and then they drive. So, it's doing a little bit of that. It was at this point I realized, like, all right, I was making about 2 days a week that what I really wanted to do was scale down my hours as a barista and scale up the hours I was doing art. And I didn't think about it like, okay, I need to replace my income immediately. It was, I'm making $1,600 a month as a barista. What would it look like if I was making $1,000 a month as a barista and $600 as an artist? What does that translate to? What does that $600 translate to? And so I was like, just equating it to that and then plugging it in. So I couldn't do that at the coffee shop I was working because of just like management issues. So I had to transition to helping my friend start a coffee shop that allowed me a little bit more flexibility. It's now Arcade Coffee. It's here in town. So I was working like 14 hours a week for Stevie, and that allowed me a lot of time to focus on my art. And it was at this time that I was making even less money, like zero dollars. From 2014 is easily the hardest year of like my art career. I was making a lot of work, but making like less than $0 because art is not a zero-sum game. Like this book costs money, this pencil costs money, this pen costs money, everything costs money. Art sucks, it costs money. But I was doing it. Then in 2014, around the middle, I got a lucky break. I started building a relationship 2 years prior with a high school student. He was in the youth group, and I was helping out with my church. Turned out his dad worked at Facebook, and it was in Riverside, so I realized, like, okay, this was another Ronaldo moment. Like, all right, I'm gonna do something for Facebook. So I just started building a relationship with this guy, Jonathan. Side note, Jonathan's actually renting a room from me. Like, there's a reason. These are real relationships. These are not like transactional things. Like, Jonathan's a friend now. Like, he's literally renting a room from me. So Jonathan, I just kept following up with him. The thing about Jonathan is he's super busy. Like, this fool's always running around. He's like an investor and just like always doing random stuff. And he worked for Facebook. But I was running into him at like almost every coffee shop in Riverside. So I seriously got business card made just so I could give them to Jonathan. Because like, I'm gonna see this guy 4 times this week, because that's where I was doing all my drawing. Each time I see him, give him a business card. So every time I saw Jonathan, I gave him my business card. Hey, I'd love to talk about doing something for Facebook or for you, whatever. I just had to build a relationship. I gave that man at least 20 business cards before he called me back, and it wasn't like he didn't want to call me back. He's just super busy. But every single time, it's just like, hey, really good to see you. Just the only reason I carried business cards was seriously for Jonathan. So then I get the email. Hey, I talked to the people in at the office. They're down. Like you can paint something for us at the office. I'm like, sick. Like what's the budget? And he's like, it's $0. Like, it's actually coming out of my pocket. So Jonathan was paying for my supplies. Like, he fronted the money for the supplies. And it was at this point where I realized, shoot, it was like, at this point, Facebook was going, I think they had their IPO, and they were worth however many billions of dollars. Mm-hmm. And I'm about to pay for this company worth billions and billions of dollars, and I'm making $0. Mm-hmm. And but I knew, I had enough foresight to know, like, okay, if I have Facebook on my resume, it's gonna open up a door. Mm-hmm. It's just gonna work out. Like, I'm gonna take the L, but it'll work out. So I painted for Facebook for $0 in 2014. Thank Jonathan for getting me that gig, and then just kind of went my way. Just struggled through the rest of 2014, just really trying to figure it out. Like, throughout this time, I'm building an audience on Instagram. I'm like trying to sell merch, sinking a lot of money into merch. Merch doesn't make you any money. Merch sucks. If you guys have ever bought merch, I appreciate you so much. Like, it's so tight that you guys support it. It just realized, like, I don't make any money on merch. It's really so that my strategy with merch, and we can talk about this later, is so that everyday people can afford to buy it. Most of the work that I do, my friends can't afford. Like, they just don't have $2,000 to spend on a painting. I don't have $2,000 to spend on a painting. I don't want to buy a $2,000 painting, but like, so I want a price point. My friends will buy $10 socks. They will buy a $20 shirt. That's the thought process on it. Making $0 money on the merchandise. Finished out 2014 really discouraged. If you look back at my journals, it says like, I should quit. Like, this sucks. So beginning of 2015. I started working 10 hours a week at the Grove, because at the end of 2014 I decided it was like right after I painted for Facebook, I stopped working for the coffee shop. Mm-hmm. he was a startup at that point, and like he didn't have money to pay me, so like I didn't have a job, but I was like, all right, we'll just do art. So I needed a little something, so went back to working at the church for very little money, and was just kept producing, kept doing stuff. Then through Instagram, through like building relationships, started getting a few more gigs, started painting a little more murals, started raising my price little by little by little. Kept that small job at the Grove all of 2015. But at this point, in 2015, Jonathan approached me again and he said, "Hey, we're actually moving offices. Like, you should apply for the artist in residency program for Facebook." And it was with he's like, "Okay, this one will actually be paid. Like, it will actually be paid." So I hit up I directly emailed the person he said to, and I showed them like, this is what I've done. I've painted for Facebook in the past. Like, having that little thing, and I can explain that. Like, I was already in the room, so he didn't even have to question. Like, I had already been pre-approved by Facebook, so he wasn't gonna fail on choosing me. They ended up choosing me, and it was the highest I had been paid up to that point. It was like a 5-figure sum that was just like more than I had made the past like 3 years combined from all of the artistic endeavors, just based on that. So like paying for Facebook for free actually made me a 5-figure sum, right? Like and this is another thing that I'm good at, is like taking the loss up front and realizing what it's going to mean in the future. So that was the beginning of 2016. Did the rest of 2016 just like still grinding out, getting a little more clients, like doing a little bit more work. Was actually able to prove to my wife, prove to myself. Really, I didn't need to prove to her. She had already supported me, but it was just like, as a man, I really want to provide for her, and it was something like, okay, I can kind of start doing this. Like, I can do this towards full time. So beginning of 2017 was really just like on pretty good ground. I started doing just a little bit more murals. Started doing that, but then I realized like I need to really start like niching down, like finding something that's going to make me a lot more money. Up until this point, I was doing a lot of logos, commission work for coffee shops. That was my network. That was who I knew. Those budgets are relatively small. Like, I'm sure you understand, like, you just don't have, the shop doesn't have a lot of money to spend on an artist to like commission a shirt. So, but the coffee shops are the most down to work with artists because they, they have a ton of churn. They want to sell the price point at like $10, and people want to buy a higher ground shirt. They want to buy an obvious shirt, like whatever. So I was working with them, but then I realized it's just not enough. Like, if the economics don't make sense, I'm making the same as I would as like a manager at a coffee shop. This isn't what I wanted. I need to be going a little bit more for to help pay for my wife's grad school. That was really like the whole goal at the beginning of 2017 was like, what would it look like to pay for Tessa's grad school by 2019, which is the year she graduates? Like, how cool would that be if we paid for it? Because I just don't want to carry debt. Yeah. So I picked soccer. Like, soccer to me, I grew up playing the game. I love soccer. It's just something that I've always loved. I realized my style would go very well with the surf skate industry. Yeah. And then if most people would pick something for me, they would pick surf skate. I'd probably pick that for myself. But it's so saturated. Like, everyone who looks like me is doing that. What I realized is that nobody's doing that in soccer. Like, there's nobody doing that in soccer. It's just like, there's nobody doing it. I don't know what else to tell you. So then I started like focusing, okay, I got a list of 100 people that I need to meet in the soccer industry, and like just went on like LinkedIn, like, all right, art director for Red Bull, art director for Adidas, art director for Nike, art director, like just kept going. Like, Taylor helps me with some of this stuff now. We compile lists, and she helps me, poach these people. Just like, hey, be my best friend. Started building relationships in that. Realized that there was a few key trips coming up that I needed to be a part of. At the beginning of 2017, I did a logo for a small soccer company called Turf Map. And Turf Map, they like basically put on tournaments for for the soccer industry, and they have like pretty large clients. It was in that I did that shirt for them in 2017. They thought that they had found me. Like when they approached me, they were like, oh, like we saw your stuff on Instagram, like it's really cool. But 4 months prior, I had seen that Adidas was using Turf Map to put on their tournament stuff, and I thought like, oh, it might be kind of cool to like keep tabs on them. So I followed them on Instagram and just like interacted on their content. So my name just kept popping up, and then it was very serendipitous that they came back and said like, hey, we need a shirt, and I actually did it like instead of money, like I asked for these shoes, like for Turf Map, because like you can't get these shoes anywhere, so they just had like a pair in my size. I'm like, hey, we'll just do it for that. He liked that deal because he didn't want to spend some money, so made that happen. And then he kind of said, hey, these are the events that you should go to. These are the types of people that you should be meeting. Looked online, saw that in August there was the MLS All-Star Week coming up, and Turf Map was going to do something in Chicago. So I pitched the idea of doing a mural for Turf Map, like just for the cost of the flight alone, because I knew that Adidas would co-sign on it, and they did, but I was still made like on that thing I made like $0. When I flew to Chicago, it was just like on the cost of the plane. But I realized that okay, if I'm going to Chicago, I might as well go, like this is how my mind works. If I'm going to Chicago, I might as well go to Philadelphia and New York. I'm already, anything east of California is the rest of the world. Like I'm already there. Might as well just make it a trip. So reached out to a company in Philadelphia. They were stoked on the work. They liked the idea of a mural. That one, it didn't make a lot of money, but it paid for like all the expenses of the trip, like all my food, all the rest of the travel that the Turf Map one didn't. So that was it. The real goal for that was I wanted to draw for this freestyle soccer competition in New York. Like this is how my mind works. Is okay. I have to get here. How does that happen? So I was like, all right, I'll go to Chicago for 5 days. I'll fly to Philadelphia. As soon as I land in Philadelphia, I'll take the train to New York. I'll stay in New York for a day and then come back, paint in Philadelphia. I drew for this freestyle soccer event. I thought the play there was just to become more known within the soccer scene. I wanted to see the freestyle event. And I thought, okay, I could sell some shirts. Didn't sell a single shirt. I thought it was kind of a wash, but I met the guy who owned the building. And he told me, hey, Adidas actually owns this storefront as like a billboard. And we hate the outside currently. We need someone to do something. I was like, ooh, like that's freaking me. So if you give me like an ounce of hope, I just like bite on like a pit bull and I just don't let go. So I followed up with this guy like 72 hours later, 1 week later, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later, 5 weeks later, 6 weeks later, called him. Just kept going. He's like, all right, yeah, like, and then he did the worst thing possible. He's like, all right, just talked to Adidas. It could still be on. So like, I kept kept going after him, and then finally I was on the email chain. One of them was like from Adidas, and I'm like, oh frick, like it's actually happening. I remember calling my wife like, babe, it's actually happening. Like I am gonna go to New York, and that was at the time that was the largest commission that I had received. Like because the wall was so large, it was 120 feet long and 20 feet high. It was grueling. I actually was able to take Taylor out there. She helped me paint it. I had a videographer come with me. Adidas paid for all of them, and I got mine. They paid for Kels to come out. Like we stayed in a really bougie hotel in Central Park. Like it was the dopest experience of my life. Like it was super cool. Very stressful, super cold, really annoying. Taylor can attest. Like Taylor is like just like a leaf. She's just shaking, just like her whole body's like this big, and she's just dying. So poor girl. But we made it. And then from that point, while I was doing the mural for Adidas, like they asked for sketches. I was turning around sketches in 12 hours, like 12 hours time from when I got the email, which is insane. Like, that's just insane. That means like I was like flying. And so they were super stoked on it, and they said, hey, we have a project in LA coming up. It's due in 2 weeks. Like, can you do this? And because like they saw how fast I was doing things, and I was like, yeah, I can do it. They're like, can you do like vector drawings of everything that you just proposed to us? And like up until that point, I had never done it. I was like, yep, yeah, I totally do that. Yep, yeah, for sure. So like I literally had to buy an iPad to do it. Like to use, I saw online like, okay, you can use the Apple Pencil to like create these things, and it makes it faster because the turnaround time was insane. So we're in New York, like I'm working on the mural. When we're going to eat, I'm drawing for Adidas. Like Adidas is calling me, asking for more like things. While I'm doing that project, they then reach out again and say, hey, you're doing this so fast. Like, what would it look like if you did this? Like it was. At that point, I was doing 4 different projects for Adidas. Like within it went from like 0 to 100. Like it was just like boom. It just went. So then came back, and during that point, I don't know what happened in the span of August to like right now. Quite honestly, I've done like a project a week, whereas before it was like a project every 3 months. Like that, like the size of what I was doing. Like I had to hire Taylor. I had to hire Kyle. I had to hire other people because I just couldn't keep up with it. It hit like an inflection point. Then thought, okay, this Adidas thing, this seemed like they were all hitting me up for the same project, and it seemed like, okay, that's the end of that. And what should have happened is that it finished, because most of the projects I do are one-offs. But I thought, man, what would it look like if I had like a real relationship with someone at Adidas? So at the event that I did the assets for in LA, I met the woman who's in charge of U.S. soccer for Adidas, like the head honcho. Super nice woman. I said to her like kind of casually, hey, if I'm ever in Portland, like I'd really love to come see the Adidas headquarters. And she's like, yeah, if you're ever there, like hit me up. I'll show you around. And so I was like, sweet. And it was in my head. I'm like, be there in 2 weeks. So I, that was just before Christmas. Christmas goes. I booked a flight for the first week of January. I hit her up. I like booked it without asking her. I booked it. I was going to be in Portland Monday through Thursday, just as like a range. She has to be able to meet at least for 5 minutes Monday through Thursday. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to be in town Monday through Thursday, like just hanging out with some friends. Like the whole reason I went to Portland was to meet up with her. She's like, oh sweet, like come by on Monday this time, like I'll show you around. Like, all right, dope. So I go. I thought it was just gonna be like a shake your hand, thanks for coming, like here's the Adidas campus, see you later type of deal. Like she's super busy, she's very important. I'm like, why she doesn't have time for me? It was just understandable. I have those meetings all the time, but we ended up talking for like 90 minutes. You know, it's just an amazing conversation about like the future of U.S. soccer, like her problems, what she needs, how I have a sliver of expertise in like growing up in the soccer world and understanding art. Like I'm at this weird, and being the proximity to Los Angeles, I'm like the ideal person for her. So it's just a great thing. Came back to California, then I realized like she was coming down to LA for an event at the end of January. So I hit her up and I said, let's get coffee. Like I'd love to like show you some things that I was working on from our last conversation. I took what she had said in the conversation and kind of fleshed it out. Like this is what it would look like creatively for you. Just like it was very like I'm just giving this to you. This is what you said you wanted. This is what someone who looks like me would do. Take it or leave it. Like you don't have to hire me. It's just a gift. She like within that meeting she texted the guy who's like doing this project for Major League Soccer, and she was like, yo, put Jeff on this patch thing. And I got that commission. While I was doing that commission, like they hit me up for another thing, and like from that point, I've done like 10 to 12 projects for Adidas from that point, like, so, which is averaging out to like 3 a month of like budgets that if you had told me in 2013, 2014 were possible, I'd be like, no, there's no way. Like, there's not that kind of money. Like, it just doesn't exist. But it is, like, it is there, and it's just because of those relationships. So that's current day. We're now in 2018. Let me see. Let me check what time we're at to make sure. Cool. So yeah, the key things in that story of like what I was going through is like relationships and being what I'm calling the ice cream man. Okay, the ice cream man is a marketing genius. All right, let's break him down. Abraham the ice cream man goes around your block and is doing that, that number, that whatever, like ding ding. I don't know, I can't do it. Yeah, the sound, right? And what is that? It's a continual ask. Do you want ice cream? Anyone who wants ice cream goes out to him. He's selling ice cream to people who want ice cream.
Yeah.
Here's what the ice cream man is not doing. The ice cream man is not going around the neighborhood with 17 other ice cream men behind him. They're all, it's only one on that block. He doesn't have 7, because what would happen is the people who want ice cream would still come out, but then they would be like, which one of you has like green tea flavored ice cream? I'll buy from you. Which one of you is the cheapest? I'll buy from you. Which one of you is the most expensive? I'll buy that one. He's competing by himself. He's moving on. He's showing up day after day. This, no joke, the ice cream man on my block is the most persistent son of a gun. Like, Fool shows up every single day, and some days I'm like, that sounds kind of tight. Like, I've never bought because my mom would never let me buy from the ice cream man. There was like this stigma. I'm just gonna put a pin in your apple or something. Like, my mom's just crazy. Just you get poisoned. Like, okay, they don't have time to do that. Like, why? They're just gonna kill kids on the like. It doesn't make sense. But so I've never bought from just on principle. But I'll still get me. Or some days I'm like, man, ice cream would be amazing. And he's making that ask day after day after day to people who want ice cream. So when I look back at where I've had success, is that I'm selling ice cream to people who want ice cream. And I'm making that ask. Ronaldo wanted ice cream. I was selling the ice cream, sold it to him. Jonathan wanted ice cream, I sold it to him. Ellie wants ice cream, I'm selling it to her. Like, it's a very specific thing. I have this conversation daily. What do you do? And I explain it. So what do you do? Like, they're not my customer. They don't understand. But then there's certain people that I meet, like, the head of marketing for Red Bull, they're like, yep, we need you for this project in Miami. Like, that's, like, it's so specific. It's like, okay, you're that. Or it's like I'm towing such a fine line that I would rather them say no, because then it shows like, okay, I need to find someone who's like an immediate yes. If it's not an immediate yes, it's just going to be a headache for both of us. Do they need kooky characters in the soccer industry, like visual identity that makes sense with what I do? Yes, it's going to be a home run. We're going to kill it. It's going to be amazing. Are there so many other artists in the world who can do what I do? Yes, 100%. I'm not saying that my aesthetic is the reason why I'm getting these gigs. It's because I have the relationship, and it's because I'm in the right place at the right time. Like, I am the ice cream man. I'm not competing with other ice cream men. What I've realized is that on Instagram, like building a presence, this is what happens. I, as the ice cream man, am speaking to a lot of other ice cream men. People who like art, if you post art, will follow you. That's like super basic, right? But like, track with me here. People who like art tend to make art. People who tend to make art tend to not have a lot of money. Okay? So here we go. I'm building a huge audience of people who like art, people who make art, people who don't have a lot of money. So how can I make money from them? I don't really want to. Like, the reason here, it may seem like I'm an ice cream man talking to other ice cream men. I'm not. You guys aren't other ice cream men. I'm the only one. I'm not competing with you guys on the art sense right now. I'm actually speaking. I'm in the speaking game. This video is so that I can shop around to conferences. This is a different thing. Just because I have this experience like in the art world means that you guys can benefit from it, but I can benefit from you like being able to speak to you. Do you see that? Do you see that like subtle shift that I'm not trying to make money off you? There's a reason this was free. I could have charged like $10, $15 to have you guys come in. We had a waiting list of people who wanted to come, but to me, that's a short-term mentality. That's like if I had said no to Facebook that first time, like, no, I'm worth this much money, which if I had charged them in 2014, honestly, that mural was probably worth like $2,400, right? I think if I charged them at that point, I don't think they would have come back for the next one. So I would have lost, $8, $9 grand. Like I would have lost that money. So for me right now, I'm not trying to monetize on my audience. Like I'm considering right now doing a system where my merchandise is 100% free, and it's a system where it's a waiting list that you just sign up, and when you get something, then you go to the bottom, and it just cycles through. So like, and I don't even know if this is possible, but like in my head it would be cool. Like I have 30 shirts. The first 30 people online, if they want it, they can choose yes. Like okay, and they get it. And then what I do is it becomes actually more exclusive because you have to be in line. Like there's something about like it's like very exclusive, and then people can't even pay to like get it. Like what the heck? So then I would take that and be like, Red Bull, there's 100, there's 400 people in line like who want something. Like what would it look like if you sponsored this, right? I charge Red Bull for it, but then my audience gets it for free. Like I'm looking at it in like a different way. Like, oh, what if it was here? Because I don't want to monetize off the audience. From this type of talk, I don't want to monetize off of you guys. I want to monetize off of like a conference. I want to monetize off of a speaker's series or whatever. That's Sam. No. It reminded me of like when I was like from like 5 to 10 years old. My head was just like do that. Poor Sam. So poor Sam. But does that make sense? Like the ice cream man mentality.
Yeah.
It's all about finding that white space. That it's not so much being the best at your craft, because I think that's a given. Like I don't think I'm the best at my craft, but I can get there just like continually practicing day after day after day. But if that's the given, that's not what makes me special. What makes me special is my positioning. It makes me special is the relationships that I have and that the people that I'm building around it. Yeah, that makes sense. So that's my thought on being the ice cream man. I like that, the visual of that. I said it at a talk that I was on a panel, and I said the ice cream man, and it got like an immediate response from the crowd. Like because the question was, what do you want to be? What advice would you give to your 20-year-old self? I was like, become the ice cream man. And everybody's like, what the hell?
That's intriguing.
But it's the best thing that I can think of for this mentality. So I went through a lot of different things. I went through it pretty quickly. Do you guys have any questions or anything that like I just went way too fast over? I know that I was like blitzing through the story and it was kind of generalizing. But I'm happy to go over anything else.
How did you make the necessary steps? So when you started your website, you started doing the merch, you started selling and kind of putting yourself out there. What I don't have a lot of money right now, but I want to try.
Yeah. So
what ways, creative ways, did you come up with money? How did you do that?
So what is your end goal? For me, my end goal was to make a living from what I make.
I want to partially make a living, so I want to do part-time art.
Yeah.
Part-time.
Okay. And you're thinking, you can come back to the table, or just chill right there. Don't hit your head on it again. You are wanting to make some money on the side from your designs, from things that you create?
Yeah, so
it's from your photography.
Yeah, so I'm going into social work, and my end goal is I kind of want to integrate it. I don't know what that looks like.
Okay.
But I want to like see how I can put like my ideas and like, because the way I see my pictures is like it's a moment in time.
Yeah.
And so I like kind of want like other avenues of like putting that out there and like seeing what that looks like for people I can help.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like I do want to make money, but the whole idea of like having that waiting list and giving free merch, like I eventually want to be established enough to be able to do that, because I think that's amazing.
Yeah. So there's a few things. If you're looking to make money part-time, the fastest, easiest way is to tap into an existing market that you leverage. So if I wanted to make a lot more money a lot faster as an artist, I would start applying my style to Star Wars and start marketing it on Facebook to people who love Star Wars. And I guarantee that I could make like a 6-figure income on Star Wars related imagery. I don't want to do that. I don't even like Star Wars. But I know I can make a lot of money doing that because people freaking love that. They have an existing thing that they're attaching their love for. What happens when I noticed this when I was doing stuff for coffee shops. I would do a shirt for Augie's. Everyone who loved Augie's all of a sudden started liking me.
Yeah.
Like, they saw, oh, Augie's is my boy. They like Jeff. I like Jeff. It just happens. It happens that way. So for your money thing, for the social work, it's a philanthropic side that you're gonna have issues there on the money making thing. But what you can do is, like, what comes to mind is a portrait series based on people who give a lot of money towards the causes that you like. Is, you know, like the only person that's really coming to mind right now is Bill Gates, but like someone who's a lot smaller than that, like local micro celebrities that give a lot of money, like a portrait series on them, they could be your customer on it, and it feeds back into social work. If you were trying to, okay, I want to make like 10 hours a week, I want to make money from photography and then be able to make enough money that allows me to do other things, I would go into what would it look like to be the photographer. You live in like Orange County, Corona?
I live in
Corona, yeah. Like the Inland Empire's dentist photographer, like very specific thing. Like it's a high net worth individuals. They need content for social. Like here's the photography side. That's a route. There's so many answers. The question of I want to start selling merch. I want to start doing a website. Really, that's a little bit cart before the horse. You need to build up an audience that actually wants that. I'm telling you, I have some of that audience, and I'm telling you, it's a very hard game. Like, if I want to be more successful at merch, I need to be really pounding the pavement of, hey, buy the merch. Like, Instagram story every day should be about like some merch thing. Like, what does PacSun do? What is Target doing? They're just like continually marketing, and for me, that's draining. I don't want to ask you guys all the time, hey, buy this stupid shirt that I made. Like, that's not me. I'm not a retailer. For me, the merchandise is a marketing tool. If you're wearing it, you're talking about it, you're ideally giving it to someone. Why do you think I send out so many stickers? Like, I lose a lot of money on that, but like, and there's a reason I give you multiple stickers. You're not going to use all of them. You might give one away. You know, like here's the four. Some of you guys are, you know, like, it'd be really funny if you just put them all on top of each other. The worst thing is when I go to an event and I hand out stickers and people put the stickers on me. I'm like, all right, you just literally like took $1 and like lit it on fire and just like threw it at me. Just like, no, don't do that. Like, take the sticker, do something with it. But that's just the name of the game, right? Yeah. So does that answer your question about the merchandise? Like, there's so many ways to do it. There's no right way. There's no wrong way. It just depends on what you're looking for.
Thank you.
Trying to phrase this question.
Phrase it.
I like working with people to create or help create their vision.
Like creative direct?
I guess so. I feel like I don't work, like I do my own work, you know, by myself, and it's the stuff I like to do. But I can't see myself making like a ton of money doing it. Like, I love doing portraits. Like, walking around here, all I want to do is take portraits of everybody here today. But like, that's not going to make money. And what I like to do when I'm working is like find someone who has a vision that they're really passionate about and apply myself to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I have no idea how to monetize that.
Well, I think that's kind of what like Taylor's doing. Taylor's working for me. She's a photographer. I have a clear vision.
Yeah.
She's not necessarily doing exactly what she wants, but she's able to do a little bit. Like she's getting a taste of the creative side of photography.
Yeah.
I'm speaking for her, but it's true. So that's an option. Like literally working for someone.
Yeah.
Another option would be you say those terms like I can't make a lot of money doing this. Those are like why not? Like maybe on the ways that you have been, maybe on the clientele you have been, but like you take a portrait of me, the most I can pay you is like $50, like right?
Yeah.
Do a portrait of Kanye West, like what is that worth?
Yeah.
Right? Like there's a thing. What the reason I went to soccer takes the exact same skill set to sell a shirt to Uggies as it does to Adidas. The budget's 10 times higher.
Yeah.
So your portrait series, I would work backwards. You love portraits, like don't run away from portraits. Don't be afraid of like the limitations of portraits, but like really work backwards. Who am I selling to? How do I make a name? What you're gonna find with portraits and like photography in general is that it's so easy to be a photographer these days because the cost of entry is so low. My phone is an amazing camera. Like we're doing video content for me this summer, and it's pretty much exclusively going to be filmed on the iPhone because it's faster. Like I'm always going to have it. Jake, who's in charge of that, like Taylor, like we're doing everything on video, and it's going to be like good enough. So right there, boom! I don't need a videographer. Like, we have the phone.
Yeah.
So you need to become very like specialized. Like what is it about the portraits you like? It's not portraits is too broad. That's like me saying I love acrylic painting.
Acrylic is the best.
Yeah, right. Like it is dope, but like I'm not gonna be known as like the acrylic painter.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a medium.
Yeah.
Who is it of? There's an artist. He did Obama's portrait. I forget his name. He's just like really cool. Like Obama's portrait. Like he painted it.
Yeah.
And then had like the floral stuff in the background. But he does that a lot. Like he does very prominent like African American figures. He just does them in like really cool Renaissance poses, and that's like his thing. And I guarantee those things are making like.
And that's ultra specific. That's like crazy specific.
Crazy specific, but that's what people like.
Yeah.
So I went to this the day after I did the biggest commission at the time. I painted for Facebook the second time, like the good money one.
Yeah.
The day after, I went to this market night, like a downtown art walk type of deal, art walk. And I had set up my booth, the merchandise, and I'm feeling like pretty cool. All right, I'm like I just painted for Facebook, like I'm pretty tight, and you know, like I wasn't saying it, but I felt it. I'm like, I'm different now. Like, I'm different. This guy set up diagonal to me. All he was doing was minion portraits. Like portraits of you as a minion. This fool had a line of 100 people paying him $5 each to do the minion.
That's crazy.
The only comment I got on my merch was, "This is morbid." I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know, maybe this is kind of like, this guy's like dying, I don't know, but like, this is morbid. I'm like, the freaking minions are killing it.
Yeah.
It's so specific. He capitalized on a thing that Minions were having like a moment, right? The movie had just come out. Like, it was very, very smart.
Yeah.
The price point's way too small, like $5 for his time. But like, I guarantee he made $500 to $1,000 that night. And you know, if you're making $30,000 a month, like he could theoretically do this at every art market. I guarantee you that in California there's one every single day of the month. 1,000 times $30,000 doing $600,000 a year doing, no, my math's way off, like $400,000 a year doing, I thought there was 24 months in a year for a second. $400,000 a year drawing minions. Like, that is a realistic thing that you could do. Like, do you see what I'm talking about? Like, that specific?
Yeah.
So your portraits, the way that I did it was, I like art, I like Christianity, I like soccer, I like coffee. I was pairing some. Art and coffee, niche.
Yeah.
Art and soccer, it's a niche. That's the easiest way that I think of it. Like, what do I already like? What am I good at? What would it look like to pair them together? Sometimes it's going to be too small. The art and coffee, for me, was too small. I love coffee.
Yeah.
I was geeking out about, like, I haven't done pour-overs in a long time, and I was, like, stoked. That I was like texting Shane, like, yo, what's your ratio? Like grams in, grams out. Like, what are we doing? And it's just for me, the economics don't make sense because of the ambition that I have to pay for Kelsey's grad school, which, you know, by the way, like from that, like we were able to, like, we just paid for it. Like we did it because of the niche of soccer, so specific. And if you look at But like, if you think about it, soccer as a niche is very broad. Soccer is the most popular sport in the world. The highest paid players in the world are soccer players. The World Cup is the most viewed activity in the world, more than the Olympics, more than the Super Bowl. Like, it's the most watched thing. So it doesn't have to be a small niche, but for me, I'm also kind of hitting like a really serendipitous thing. I chose soccer not knowing that Adidas, New Balance, Nike, Puma all want insane market share in Los Angeles. Like, very specifically, their two target cities are Los Angeles and New York. And when you see me doing more things in both cities, it's just because that's what it is. A few years back, my target cities were LA, San Francisco, and New York. Like, that's just where I wanted to become big. That's what I wanted. It just so happens that two of those markets are huge soccer markets that, okay, like I just need to commit to that.
Question.
Yeah.
On marketing yourself, like when you're first starting, like what are the first steps that you take? Do you make a website first? Do you make cards first? Do you just go and, you know, to random places that you know people are looking for your art and say, hi, you know, this is me, this is what I'm about, you know, like where do you start?
Remind me again, what exactly do you do?
So I do photography,
okay.
But I would like to integrate it with my degree in psychology.
Okay.
And basically like interview people and get to know them and then take their portraits and let that tell the story.
Okay.
So looking into wedding photography, different places, not really sure where to start.
Okay. So going back to like what we were talking about with Nicole, depends on what your money goals are.
Yeah.
For marketing wise, the first step is not build a website, it's not business cards, it's focus on Instagram. Like my business card, when I have these executives, when I go to meet an executive, is I give them a sticker and then I say, what's your handle on Instagram? Then I type it in, and I follow them. And the executives, all their accounts suck. Like, it's like they're kids.
Right.
But I follow them. They like, right there, like, that interaction alone is like the biggest marketing thing you could do. When you're liking their kids' photos, like,
Makes
that's
it personal.
That's a different relationship. Like, that is a different game. And when you actually care about them, that's a different level of marketing.
Yeah.
So, going back to you, when you're meeting people, hey, what's your handle? Like type it in, and so, you know, sometimes it's gonna be bad. You can follow them and unfollow them later. Like, you don't have to. Like, that happens. Like, sometimes I like go through and purge. Like, I don't remember where I met this person. But building up that Instagram, because that's where they are all day. Like, just think about yourself. Like, what are you doing all day? Where are you at? You're on Instagram. All of us are on freaking Instagram.
Yeah.
So, if you have it, and ideally your Instagram, when I go to it, I see it, and that within because people look at it like this. They go to Instagram, they see it, and they go like this. oh, that's interesting. Oh, so you're an artist, like you do soccer stuff. Yeah, oh, that's pretty tight. And then they follow you. It helps having like a little bit higher number than most people. My number's not like insane. It's not amazing, but it shows like, okay, he's like around, he knows what he's doing. So like you're trying to build, but in the beginning with your 500 or 200 followers.
With that, you started with your personal, and then did you make a business account, or are those linked?
Those linked. Like I only have one account. Like if I wasn't doing art, I really don't think I would be doing Instagram or like social media. I don't post photos of like my family, of like what's going on in everyday life. To me, it's not like super interesting. I mean, my wife does, but she posts like once every 3 months of like our dogs, and then sometimes I make it on there. But that but she's always on Instagram. So for me, it's been like only business related. Before I was under the moniker Art of Wend. My artist moniker was WEND, means to go or to travel, like me, Barney. But then I realized that if I want to get better at like writing, at speaking, at having a broader brand, it needs to be my name, because an artist name doesn't translate into other mediums. Like it makes sense for art, but I'm thinking a little bit broader than that, like within this vertical of like who Jeff Goulet is. So it's all under that. It's all under my name. It could be like I'm going through this with Taylor right now. She's thinking about like wedding photography and what to do. She doesn't know if she wants to do that. I was telling her, if you don't think you want to do it but you want to make the money, then you brand it something else, like hummingbird photography, and it's hummingbird wedding photography, and that's the thing. But as soon as you attach your name to it, you're gonna be held accountable on like, oh, I thought you were the wedding photographer. Like there is, but it is not a hard transition. Like you can be like, yeah, I was in weddings and now I do portraits of dogs that have 3 legs. Like that's what I do. Very specific. Which like that would be a dope niche actually. My brother and his wife have a dog with 3 legs. He like does like a handstand piece on himself. It's amazing. It's so random. But going back to your question about marketing. Focus on Instagram. Focus on you. This like that project sounds really cool, and what's crazy is you can actually start doing it now. Like you could do that on all of us. You could do that with your family. You could do it, and that project can scale, right? Like me doing this right here, just drawing in my sketchbook. What does it matter if this sketch is for me or if it's for Coca-Cola? Like what does it matter? I can still show this. I can still show like I'm working on my craft, and people will appreciate that. So marketing yourself that way. Going back to the ice cream mentality, your photography account is going to attract a lot of photographers. Like that's the dangerous thing about Instagram is you look at these people who have massive followings, who are like photographers, and we idolize them. But do we realize that all 300,000 of those people are photographers? They're not necessarily art directors. And if you look at the people who are like crushing it in the industry, like they're making stupid amounts of money, maybe their following's a little bit lower, but they're like engaging with the right people. So for me, my number should be a lot higher for the amount that I post, the amount that I've been on it. It should be higher. That's just like a given. But I've been making a conscious effort to like really focus on directing myself at the people that I need to meet, instead of thinking like I'm just going to do scattershot, like my Instagram presence is going to fill my funnel. I'm directly approaching people. So yesterday, and I haven't done this in a long time, and I'll release the video. Like I pitched this guy two blocks down, literally yesterday, on doing a mural on his wall. Like I just cold walked in, said, "Yo, this wall sucks," it's just like super bombed out. Like someone I graffitied on and they covered it, and like, hey, I'm a local muralist. I do murals. I would love to paint something on here, Riverside themed. It helps with the graffiti. I see that you guys have problems with that. Is this something you're interested in? And I'm selling the ice cream. They can say no at this point. Like, no, we actually like our stupid wall. Okay, cool. But like I was like, no, actually we have been looking for someone. We've been looking for that. Like, how much would it cost? And I went into it thinking, like, I just want to paint that for free. Like, I just want to paint it because I don't have any other work besides the Salted Pig within Riverside. I'm like, this is the city I live in. Like, I want to see something of mine. Like, my dad drives downtown. Like, I want him to see, like, when he's coming down Market. And he said, like, oh yeah, we just don't know how much it costs. So, like, I'm gonna write up a pitch and then I'll send it to him. And it's not gonna be worth a ton of money, but like, it's more than I thought. Like, it'll pay for Taylor, it'll pay for the people that I'm using. So, directly asking those people, if there's people you specifically want to do those photographs of, you need to have a small body of work that proves you're not wasting their time. And it needs to be cohesive. So, like, what comes to mind is like black and white with like a really thoughtful, really super long Instagram caption. Like, that's not good for Instagram, but it's like that's what you aspire to, and you can get a collection of people who like the Humans of New York style, like in depth. This is tight thing, and you can do that every single day. You can do one of those a day, like some random homeless guy just chilling over here. Like, you can get that photo, ask him some questions about himself, write up a little thoughtful post, and that can become like a very serious niche. And then for the money side, you approach the people directly, and then when you have that body of work, then get a WordPress that's very, very small, like costs like $100 for the whole year, and like hosting and whatnot, and just have it up. But you're not going to get, like, it's not like putting up the website, all of a sudden your inbox is just going to blow up, like, whoa, what's good? Like, you have to be working to like fill that funnel. All the work that you guys see me do, like seriously, every single thing is like 95% of it's pitched, like from me. Like, I came up with the idea, I pitched them. It's only recently that people have been approaching me, but then even then they're approaching me saying like, oh, it'd be cool if you did something like this. I still have to pitch them on a concept.
It takes a lot of confidence though in your own work.
It does. That's a good point. And I didn't have that in the beginning with like the Salted Pig, like. But when you make the ask, what is the worst they can say? They'll say no. And then what? Like, so just don't ask your close friends. Like, don't put them in that weird position.
Yeah.
Start with, like, go to LA, approach people on the street, ask them. I guarantee you'll get over it real fast. You'll get over the idea of being rejected, because people are gonna be like, F off, and then you gotta go, you gotta move, because he's swinging. Or someone will be like, oh yeah, I'm sure, I'm like waiting for my Uber, like let's do this. Like you go up to someone like saying like, oh, I really like your hair, like, I mean, we do a photo. She's gonna say yes. Like, it's, if you're like nice about it and just like, hey, this is a project, like, what's your handle on Instagram? People, like, if somebody did that to me, nobody like features me like for how I look. They should, but they don't. So. Like that would be cool. That I'd be like, oh, this girl featured me on her thing. What's the worst that's like? They'll say no.
Yeah.
Right? Any other questions? No? Cool. Sweet.